Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made $800 just in 2 weeks from flipping phones and different Apple devices on the side as a hustle, a side hustle. Okay, so I'm not a guru. This is just a prop, okay? It's a prop, chill. But yeah, so I'm going to be walking you guys through how I did this in just 2 weeks with hardly any hours really put in and having fun at the same time by doing this side hustle of just flipping Apple products, mostly phones and AirPods. And most importantly, showing you guys how to get in on some of this money. So essentially buying and selling things or flipping things is buying them for a low price and selling them for a high price. Or kinda, it's buying for a good price and selling it for a good price. Buying low and selling high, right? You buy something for $300 and then sell it for $350, making a $50 profit off that sale. Now, how did I go at this? So I would message people on Kijiji, on social medias, and post things like, I'll buy your stuff, blah, 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 or hit up people directly on Kijiji and lowball them. After buying a phone or AirPods, I would post them on my social medias as well as on Kijiji for the price that I would want and then sell it. Now, in these couple weeks of trying this side hustle, I only really flipped 3 different type of products, which was an iPhone X, iPhone XS, iPhone 8, and AirPods. So actually 4. So the first AirPods that I got, the first phone that I got, the first iPhone X I got, the first iPhone X I got, and the first iPhone 8 I got, I took super high quality pictures and videos of all of them and multiple of them as well, so that I was actually able to post these when I didn't even have them. So what this strategy did was allowed me to post things that I didn't actually have to get buyers for a product that I didn't actually own. But once I got the buyer, I was able to go find it and lowball a bunch of people to get it for a good price and then make a profit from that. So doing this really minimizes my risk of buying an item. If I didn't do this, what could have happened was I would buy an iPhone and then sit on it for months and not have a buyer. But doing this allowed me to have a buyer and then directly get the phone for them once I know that they're willing to pay for it. So that's a little tip that I use, which is super important. And I think that could help a lot of people out. Another super important thing that you want to keep in mind is to take really high quality images and videos. Now, images, of course, self-explanatory, get good lighting, get a good background, and make sure the camera or phone that you're taking it on is a high quality camera or phone. But what do I mean by videos? Well, I didn't just post on Kijiji or Craigslist, but I actually also posted on my Instagram and Snapchat. This does a couple of things, right? I could have cool videos with copyrighted music, all that kind of stuff, and it's really engaging and enticing. Another thing that comes along with posting on my private social medias is actually that it gets me buyers that I know. This really helps me out because I know them and I could meet up with them wherever and whenever, which is pretty nice. But at the same time, I personally felt like I had to give them better deals than some random guy on Kijiji. So essentially that's how it works and some of the tips and tricks that I used to maximize my profit and efficiency with this. Okay, so I'm gonna be switching over to my computer just to show you guys a little Google Sheets, the Google spreadsheets that I made to track the profit that I got from this side hustle. Okay, so as you guys can see here, here's the spreadsheet that I made, iPhone income, and pretty much I was just trying out this side hustle. And I'm not a professional in this side hustle at all. I know there's a lot of people who do these kind of flips through eBays and even pay for Facebook and Instagram ads to promote their own flipping website or things like that, which are way out of what I've done in the past couple weeks with this. But I thought it was a cool experience that I went through and that I could definitely give some of you guys some value and teach you guys some of the mistakes I made and some things that I've done pretty well. So if we look here, my journey started with this side hustle on January 10th, technically. Pretty much what I started to do is I went on Kijiji, which is pretty much Craigslist for Canadians. It's the exact same thing. We also have Craigslist, but Kijiji is just more popular in Canada. So essentially what I did is I reached out to a bunch of iPhone listings and AirPod listings and pretty much just lowballed all of them. Literally all of them. So when I was starting this side hustle, I didn't really want to put a whole lot of capital in it because I didn't really know if it would turn out well or if it wouldn't turn out well. So I started out by lowballing people a crazy amount pretty much. If people were listing iPhone X's for 400, I'd be saying, yo, I could give you 200, maybe 150, and if you could deliver it, that'd be great. And a lot of those people didn't respond, but some of them would, and we negotiated and it came out to a fair agreement. So the first sale I made with this side hustle was technically not very planned for, but it was actually my old iPhone 8, which I used to own. So I originally bought that iPhone 8 for $200, which was a pretty decent price. It was my phone for like a year, maybe a year and a half. And then I ended up selling it for $260. So that was technically $60 profit. And since I was flipping phones or trying to get into it, I counted that on my spreadsheet. I don't know, give or take, but technically it was profit from flipping an iPhone. So the day after that, I actually ended up selling 2 AirPods, which was pretty good. Although the profit that I made from selling 2 AirPods wasn't great. I had to meet up with both of the AirPod sellers, which were different people, and then sell them to different people as well. So that was 4 meetups for $45, which is definitely not great. So for pricing, I actually sold both of those AirPods for $100 Canadian, which is around $92, something in that range. Let's say 90 American dollars. The next day I made $40 just from selling 1 pair. So I definitely noticed how the day prior to that day, that my efficiency wasn't really great. I had 4 meetings. I had to message all 4 of them for all of the sales and work things out. And it only ended up with $45, which was definitely not worth it. The next day I sold a pair of AirPods for $40 profit. Over the couple weeks that I did this side hustle, I always priced my AirPods at $100 and sometimes $110 or more depending on the generation. So there's 1st gen AirPods and 2nd gen AirPods. The actual difference is nothing except for the date they were released and the battery health. Since Gen 2 AirPods were released later, their battery life is usually much better. So the next day I had a bit of a come up and I made $100 profit from selling an iPhone XS. Now I can't exactly find the seller that I bought it from, but I believe I paid $320 for it and ended up selling it for $420, which is $100. Okay, so I actually found the conversation that I had with the person to get this iPhone XS and made $100 off of it. So as you can see here, I asked if you could do $350 for it. She actually said yes, that could work, which was pretty decent because I actually already arranged a buyer to buy this phone before I even had it. So $350 wasn't bad because I knew I could sell it for $450 already. So anyways, we worked out locations and I ended up coming to her place actually to pick up the phone, which all went super smoothly. Now I have to say it's really important to make sure you're safe when you're doing things like this, like flipping items in person and not online. There's definitely scammers out there and sketchy people who may want to rob you or anything like that. So stay safe, meet up in public areas, or if you think they're trustable, I'll let you guys judge that on your own. Maybe call them up first, see how they're talking, how they're speaking. If they seem okay, then do what you want to do. But personally, I don't like meeting up with people that I don't know past, 8 p.m., something like that. So I didn't really have to negotiate for this deal. As you could see, I just kind of said, can you do $350 for it? And she said, yeah, that works. So that was kind of lucky on my end because since I had a buyer already set up, I just needed the phone and I didn't want the buyer to wait too long before they would just move on to someone else. So I wasn't trying to super lowball people. I was just trying to get a decent price for me to flip it quick. One of the most important things that I see a lot of people doing wrong when it comes to flipping items like phones or shoes or clothing or anything like that is they'll buy something for an okay price. They'll list it for a price that would be like a reseller price. You have to understand when you're starting out, you're not a professional reseller, okay? You don't have a big audience. And because of that, you have to be listing it for lower than those big resellers. Now, although this cuts into profits, it means that you're not sitting on an item for a long time. I see a lot of people, I'm just gonna give an example. An iPhone 8, I would usually try to sell for $200 to $250, that kind of range. And a lot of new flippers will buy an iPhone 8 for $180 and then list it for like $300. And you won't sell that, you just won't. And if you do, it's gonna take multiple months. And even though you made more profit waiting multiple months, you could have just done a lot of little sales and it would have ended up with more money than just waiting and sitting on that iPhone 8 for so long. So what I'm trying to say is when you're flipping items, don't sit on them for a long time. Try to buy and sell super quickly because doing that adds up to a bigger number than waiting a couple months and making more money off of just one sale. Okay, so I'm rambling quite a lot. Let's move on to the next day. So the next day here, I sold AirPods again and an iPhone 8. Now, the AirPod profit was $30, not too bad. And the iPhone 8 profit was only $20, which is not the best. And maybe I took a little bit too much of a risk buying that iPhone and I decided to just get rid of it quickly for the $20. Now, on the 16th, this wasn't the best day for me. I actually bought this iPhone X a day prior and I completely screwed up the deal. So it says -80 there and that's not a typo. It wasn't supposed to say 80, it's -80. I lost $80 on this deal. So the day before this, I actually bought the iPhone X. it was supposed to be an XS, but I didn't check. So since X's and XX's are pretty similar in weight and size, I didn't really notice anything. Although they're different, it's hard to tell. On top of buying the wrong kind of phone, I actually dropped it when I met up with the person. So they handed me the phone to look at it, right? And I just dropped it and I kind of messed it up a little. I caused a small crack on the front camera, which really messed up the front camera, as well as it hit the side volume buttons. So the side volume buttons were super clicky and kind of out of place. So because of this, I ended up losing $80 when I sold it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this was super discouraging, right? This was the first week that I was trying the side hustle, and I was super confident, right? I was making a bunch of money. If we add all this up, quick math, so that's $395 in the first week, and then a big minus 80, which really affected the overall profit of that week, and I didn't like that too much. So on day 17, nothing happened. I can't remember, maybe I was busy or I was just looking for new deals and listing stuff and waiting for buyers. But then boom, on the 18th, I actually made a big come up of $150 profit just by one sale. The sale was an iPhone XS with 256 gigabytes. So now this flip was super profitable for a couple of reasons. The iPhone that I actually bought, which I'll put up a little video of what I actually posted to get it sold. So this iPhone that I bought was a really good deal on my end. I believe I sold it for $450 and bought it for somewhere around $300. I could be wrong, but I think those were the prices. I ended up writing all the profits down, but I didn't exactly write down the exact number for the buy and sell. So the reason that this transaction had such a high profit margin from it was the guy who actually sold me the phone tried to sell it at the Apple store, but they wouldn't take it because there was a super small crack on the front kind of camera part of the iPhone, and it didn't affect anything with the phone. The phone was brand new except for that small crack that was really hard to see, but Apple wouldn't take it in because of that. Now this guy just wanted to get rid of the phone, so he ended up selling it to me for a super good price, and I flipped that and made a big come up. So the next day was a pretty quiet day. I just sold an iPhone XS for $50, which was okay profit. The next 4 days were super quiet and I made nothing.
But guess what? I'm broke.
Now, after those 5 days of making nothing, I kind of came back into it with big profits. So on the 25th, I ended up making $90, $20 from selling a phone, which wasn't great. But like I said, sometimes getting an item sold super quickly is more important than getting a big amount of money from it. So $20 from that, and also $70 from AirPod Pros, which was pretty good. Now on the next day, I ended up making $140, which was pretty decent. I sold a pair of AirPods as well as AirPod Pros. Now, this day and the day before that, I sold AirPod Pros, and both of the profits on them were super high. The reason for this is that the seller that I got the AirPod Pros from was a couple, and they both bought AirPod Pros and they decided that they didn't want them anymore, so they sold them as a bundle together, and because of that, they got both of them sold at the same time, and I got a super good price. So the day after that, I made $95 from an iPhone XS, which was a pretty good deal, and yeah. Day after that, I made $20 from a pair of AirPods, which was okay, and then to top it off, on the 30th, I made $35 from selling an iPhone 8. And that pretty much concludes the past few weeks of me doing this side hustle. Now in total, I made money on 13 different days, but it actually took me longer than 13 days. Because on days that I didn't actually sell anything or made money, I would actually be messaging sellers to get good deals and lowballing a bunch of people. Now overall, I would love to get more into this side hustle, maybe sell some stuff on eBay instead of just in person, because I feel like if I went into eBay, then, you know, the sky's the limit. But it was a pretty good experience, and I would recommend you guys to do this because it's a pretty simple side hustle and it doesn't exactly take a lot of entry money. Buying iPhone 8s will cost you anything from $150 to $200, while AirPods should be costing you anywhere from $40 to $80. Now this is one of many side hustles that I've tried, and I would rate it pretty highly. It was honestly pretty fun, and the amount of money that I made from it was decent. So I'm currently on pause with doing this and working on different businesses and income sources, but I may jump back into this to see if I could scale it online. So that's the end of this video, and I really hope you guys gained some value from this or some inspiration to go ahead and do this for yourself. Now, if this is your first kind of flipping side hustle thing, I wouldn't recommend going straight into the phones because there could be problems and stuff like that. But with AirPods, all you do is really check up on them, make sure they connect, go to the settings about, and just make sure that the model number matches up with the authentic numbers and that they work, play music. blah, 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 clean them up, and then you can make a quick buck from that. But anyways, I've been rambling way too long. I hope you guys enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button because, you know, that really helps me out. It gets me more views, more money. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next one.
I'm all up in the clouds when it's pouring rain. Ain't never gonna